It's been almost a year since Pastel Belle uploaded her interview with Kumori, a woman alleging to have been groomed in 2012 by the YouTuber CreepsMcPasta.
I started watching creepypasta narration videos when I was about 12 years old, maybe a little bit earlier, because my sister got me into like creepypastas and everything, and so I started listening to narrators on YouTube, and I came across a channel called CreepsMcPasta, and I was really like intrigued by his voice, I guess, and I was like, I don't know, I wanted to reach out to him and just see if he would like reply to me, because I was at that point like I was a fan, even though like he barely had any subscribers. I really liked what he put out.
Although there was a brief spike in discussion regarding the creep situation, such as the debate between Slime Beast and Cracked Rack, there still hasn't been any updates on the FBI investigation. However, after seeing the general response to this situation and the confusion some people seem to have about it, I figured that someone should make a more in-depth video into the subject. Originally, the intent of this video was to go through Creeps' full response and to prove that he was being dishonest throughout the video's entire 45-minute runtime. Because as someone who is a massive fan of Creeps, Mr. Creepypasta, Miss Shadow Lovely, Creepypasta Jr., Well Hate Productions, and others within their circle, I already knew that Creeps was being dishonest. And with that in mind, I figured that the best way to show Creeps' lies and to get a better idea of what was going on in his life in 2012 was to dig through the social media posts of him and his friends, particularly their Facebook and Tumblr pages and their YouTube comments. Little did I know, however, of the rabbit hole that this would lead me down and how much worse this situation truly was. Before going further, I want to cover Kumori's interview and allegations, not only to give people an understanding of both sides of the situation, but because there seems to be a lot of misconceptions about them. Most likely a result of CreepsMcPasta, the biggest voice in this situation, misrepresenting her allegations and ties to him in his response. However, I still recommend that you watch Kumori's original interview and CreepsMcPasta's response. In Pastel Belle's interview, Kumori, age 12 at the time, claimed that she was sexually groomed by Creeps, age 21, back in 2012. According to her, she talked to Creeps over a period of time between 2012 and 2013, eventually leading to him engaging in a romantic relationship with her and receiving a picture of her genitals. Initially, she contacted him as a young fan through YouTube's old private messaging system, transferred to Facebook Messenger early on, and later swapped Skypes with each other.
Basically, wanted to talk about something that happened back in 2012 to 2013 and affected my life up until really up until 2018, but really severely up until 2015. So I guess, should I just like watching creepypasta narration videos when I was about 12 years old, maybe a little bit earlier, because my sister got me into like creepypastas and everything, and so I started listening to narrators on YouTube, and I came across a channel called CreepsMcPasta, and I was really like intrigued by his voice, I guess, and I was like, I don't know, I wanted to reach out to him and just see if he would like reply to me, because I was at that point like I was a fan, even though like he barely had any subscribers. I really liked what he put out. So I messaged him on YouTube, back when there was messages on YouTube. Yeah. And I don't remember, it was basically just like me fangirling, and then he was like, oh, thank you so much, like, because I told him I liked, his voice, and it was kind of cringy, obviously, because I was 12. Yeah. But we ended up like swapping Skypes, or I guess I gave him my Skype or he gave me his. And we started talking from there. The thing that is the most embarrassing to me, I had sent a picture to Creeps.
Is this CreepsMcPasta, the first one that you started talking to?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, CreepsMcPasta. I had sent him a picture of like my genitals with like a drawing of like cat ears and like whiskers. And I remember on Facebook, like he commented about it, like saying like, you know, I'm never gonna like get rid of that picture, or like I'm never gonna stop looking at that picture. And so
Ultimately, her father found out about her relationship with Creeps and deleted all her social media accounts, including her Facebook, YouTube, and Skype, explaining why there's such a small online footprint for the moniker Kuro-chan Fox.
my parents, my dad specifically, he finally found out what was going on. And he changed the password on my Skype, and he deleted the Facebook, and he deleted my YouTube channel that I had just made. And my YouTube channel back then was Kuro-chan Fox. I made a lot of like Japanese-based usernames back then. So I started going behind my dad's back to talk to CreepsMcPasta, who I knew at the time as Jacob. I don't even, oh yes I do. I had a flip phone. I was using my phone to message Creeps on Facebook whenever I was away from my parents. And so I continued talking to him on Facebook, and eventually they found that out too. And when I had everything taken away from me, I had gone to the bathroom and considered drinking bleach, but I didn't, because I've heard it's not pleasant.
The evidence she provided of her ties to Creeps were screenshots of conversations, anecdotal evidence, and the fact that she's credited in the description of three of Creeps' videos from 2012 under the username Kuro-chan Fox. Additionally, she claimed to have video called with Creeps, meaning that she knew what he looked like, and was invited by him to a Skype group with around 5 or 6 other narrators, 2 of which were 2 other popular narrators, Creepypasta Jr. and Mr. Creepypasta. Kumori also alleged that Creepypasta Jr. masturbated to her during a video call and talked to her about gore fetishism, but that Mr. Creepypasta didn't do anything sexual to her.
I messaged him on YouTube back when there was messages on YouTube, and I don't remember. It was basically just like me fangirling, and then he was like, "Oh, thank you so much," like because I told him I liked, his voice, and it was kind of cringy, obviously, because I was 12.
Yeah.
But we ended up like swapping Skypes, or I guess I gave him my Skype or he gave me his, and we started talking from there. I remember the first night that we ever started talking on voice call, I was playing Minecraft, and I remember so vividly, like while we were talking, I don't know how this sticks in my mind, but like I was like spawning chickens all over the place. It's irrelevant, really, but yeah, I was pretty interested in like narrating myself, so he wanted to help me, and he added me to a group chat of narrators. Well, let me just make sure I'm not forgetting anything.
Totally fine.
Yeah. So, when I entered this group chat, I think there was like maybe like 5 or 6 narrators. Most of them were new. And we were like voice chatting a lot. Like it was typically a group. of people just talking. And that's where I met Creepypasta Jr.
When these allegations first came to light, I was as skeptical as most. Although screenshots and anecdotes can be solid evidence when combined with something more incriminating, they are not conclusive evidence on their own, especially considering how easily screenshots can be edited. So when the news first broke, I figured that it was just best to wait for Creeps' response and wait for more information to come out. But that all changed when Creeps dropped his response. Looking from the outside in, one would assume that Creeps must have made an incredible response. Just judging by the glowing comment section and positive like to dislike ratio, it seems like Creeps made a truthful response with some damning evidence, right?
Wrong!
Despite being 45 minutes long, Creeps provides no evidence to dispute the allegations against him. With the only evidence provided, besides word of mouth, being a few screenshots. He also heavily relied on appealing to ethos, stating that he could have never done what was being alleged because his family and close friends said so.
I also got a DM from another narrator, which again I'm going to try to keep names out of this, but they were interesting. They said they were like, he's encountered people, like he says he's encountered plenty of folk who do this kind of thing. One thing I've dealt with is previous partners of mine, multiple partners, have been victims. Seeing this firsthand, seeing the effects of it firsthand. I've seen PTSD, like literal PTSD, where there are triggers, there are like almost seizures, and I've had to, live with this through them. Something about me, and something my exes can attest to, I have had an aversion to that word almost my whole life. Like, I adore my friends, I adore my family, and I cherish my loved ones. But I have never told them explicitly the ILU. I've only said it once or twice to a few people. But people who are close to me and know me, know me in person, looked at it and like, are they serious? And that's what makes this so hard, is that I'm a serial monogamist. Like, I don't ever break out of the mold of being with a significant other. I just don't have it in me to be promiscuous, to be out there. And like, again, goes back to how I don't have the energy for half the stuff that's been mentioned. I've never had an inclination to cheat. I'm a very distant person. I barely post on Instagram. Like, I don't talk to people. It's beyond me to be able to do that.
Never, ever. I have no doubt it wouldn't have happened then either.
Why is that?
Because I know me.
And that's something I would never do, I think, because it's just, I'm very vanilla when it comes to that. I'm very vanilla. I'm very conservative as well. Like, you can probably tell I was brought up religious, and some of it has stuck with me.
I will not accept, because many girls tried to have sex with me. I swear I am virgin. I swear to God.
Never, ever. I'm an Egyptian, I'm Muslim, I don't do this stuff.
We'll lick you all over.
It's not me,
Needless to say, just saying that you can't do anything bad because you're Christian, or because your family and friends say that you wouldn't, or because you're not the kind of guy to do it, doesn't prove a thing. The real downfall of Creeps' response is that he consistently lies throughout the video, showing a blatant attempt to distance himself from Kumori and the chat logs. Most of his evidence proving that the person talking to Kumori in her messages wasn't him are straight up lies, and can be proven as such using public posts and videos made by Creeps and his friends in 2012. As mentioned earlier, Kumori is credited in 3 of CreepsMcPasta's videos, Pokemon Jessica, and 2 videos in the collab project, The Street. Although Creeps acknowledged Kumori's credits in his videos, he played her off as someone who he barely interacted with, but who was a part of the same Skype group for creepypasta narrators. To really drive his point home, he even reads the description of one of the videos Kumori was in, and acted like most of the people credited were strangers to him.
Most people I collaborated with back then, their channel is either gone, or I have no idea who they are, or both. This person, oh god, my knees. This person was apparently in an old video, Pokemon Jessica, and for a start, fair enough, that one's sole featuring that person, but that's also one I have no memory of organizing. It was probably in the same vein of, hey, I need a voice, and then someone comes forward. And the biggest tell is this Halloween special, where there's a long list of names, and there's some people I know. I remember Mr. Creepypasta. I remember Scarecrow. There's Junior in there. Some of the others, I have no idea who they are. And who's a Subat28? And I daren't look for the channel. It's probably gone. Or if it is, it's going to be a relic. But who are these people?
He also claimed that a majority of his interactions with these narrators boiled down to asking for requests.
And yeah, let's try to look again. So yeah, no, really, I know some of the names, but not all of them. Again, that's telling to, this is the first year where nobody was big, and I was just happy to get voices on a collaboration, especially that big. You have to imagine the feeling of like doing your first big collab, but you weren't. I wasn't picky. It was just, I need this, I need that. Who wants to be in it? Oh yeah, that sounds exciting. Everyone wanted to work together, but
So there you go. Seems like a pretty solid response, right? Especially considering most of the other narrators within the description are either inactive, shifted away from Creepypasta, and don't seem to be within his friend group as of late. It might really seem like his relationship to Kumori was all business. However, in the description of the very video Creeps looked at, Creeps not only credits Kumori for coming up with the idea for the video series, saying it was meant to be a joint project between them, but also states that she would no longer be able to do narrations. For them to not only be working on a multi-part series, but for Creeps to also be aware of what was going on in her personal life, shows that the two were indeed talking to each other at some point. This is further backed by the second street video she was credited in, where Creeps reiterated her not being able to make narrations and mentions having a recording of her laying around. Notice how he specifically mentions Kumori wanting him to use the recording. How could she ask Creeps to use her recording if they weren't talking to each other? However, that's not all. Creeps also tried removing her credit from his Pokemon Jessica video, but later put it back in after being called out for it. Thanks to archives on Wayback Machine, we can see that on August 23rd, 2020, the day after Kumori's interview was uploaded, Kumori's credit disappeared for Creeps' Pokemon Jessica video, only for it to be added back a day or two later. To say that it's strange on Creeps' part to be trying to distance himself from Kumori is an understatement. Besides adding her credit back after being called out, Creeps also made a pinned comment explaining that the reason he did so had nothing to do with trying to hide a connection to him. Instead, according to him, it was to increase the views of his already popular videos through metadata, while also claiming that changes to the video were made in February 2020. Although there is some truth to what Creeps is saying here, he's also being deceptive towards the audience by not giving them the full context. Thanks to Wayback, we can show that he did indeed make changes to the video's title and description in February 2020, months prior to Kumori's interview. However, there's just one thing that throws a wrench in Creeps' story, besides the actual archives showing him in the act of removing the credit, and that is that Kumori was still credited in February. Although Creeps did make changes to the Jessica video in February, and most likely for the reasons he claimed in his comment, these changes are completely separate from when he removed Kumori's credit. What's more is that when you actually look at the descriptions of Creeps' other popular videos from 2012, many of which eclipsed Pokemon Jessica in views, most of them seem to have been updated years before Jessica was. Many of his more popular stories, including the ones he added creepypasta to the title, have links to his now defunct social media pages like his Tumblr, and ventures that he started in 2014 or 2015 but ended up dropping, like his app and gaming review channel. This even applies to other Pokemon videos with way more views than Pokemon Jessica, so it really seems like Jessica got special attention in 2020. It's also worth noting that Creeps didn't try removing Kumori's credits from any of his The Street videos, but it's more likely because they received significantly less views than Pokemon Jessica, which is based on Pokemon, a massive IP, and her credits would more likely go unnoticed. So if Kumori really was just a fuzzy memory to Creeps, how could he have remembered what video he needed to remove the credit for? Moreover, why would Creeps make such an active effort to hide his connections to her? In his response, Creeps claimed to have never typed in the style of Kumori's personal messages, even acting shocked and disgusted at some of the vernacular used.
Any of those actions. I have to zoom in. So some of these messages are very, very interestingly written on my behalf. The notable things that really point out in my head is the capital letters at the start And also the weird use of punctuation. So it's like this one here says, "Where are you?" Exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark, crying face. Which we'll keep that aside for now. We'll remember that. What's this one? Capital letter, wait. Capital letter, this means ... Capital letter, you're back in the market, in brackets think. A capital letter, damn it, this isn't Skype XD. Again, just remember that for now. Just remember that for now. But there's a few discrepancies that really stand out for me. And it's mentioned twice. It's where I say, I have to breathe for this one, it's where I say, and the DMs is really just like, oh no, pet's head in asterisk. I didn't even realize that one was there. Cringe asterisk is no, I've never unironically, no, we're not doing that. So there is one.
Now this argument is something that Creeps' fanbase has really latched onto. Many of them, as well as Creeps himself, assert that Creeps couldn't have typed in such a way because it's cringe and sounds like it was written by a teenage girl. What's more is that Creeps also said that he would never tell someone that he loves them, which by the way is his first major defense in his response, and that he was very vanilla when it came to his sex life. He even claimed that he had a Christian upbringing growing up to try to make his point stronger. However, this all becomes moot when you actually take a second to think about how people actually acted online back in 2012. Because back in 2012, when the internet's user base was a lot smaller and people were more shameless as a result, back when Invaderzim random XD humor was still in fashion, back before the obsession with cringe became a widespread phenomenon, anyone who was online at the time would know that quote-unquote cringe asterisks, kitty faces, and other language now considered to be embarrassing were in widespread use and could be found all over YouTube comments, forums, Facebook, Tumblr, and even from other YouTubers at the time. However, the major elephant in the room is that all of Creeps' claims are brazen lies, as there are hundreds of posts by Creeps in a similar style to Kumori's messages all throughout his social media pages, including his YouTube comments, Facebook page, Tumblr account, and Q&As on his and other narrators' channels.
I wish that we were on TV, just like in Pokemon. You'd be a Pika girl in the Poke world. Yes, life would be so fun. I'd be a trainer boy and I would make the choice to go and search for you. I'd throw my Pokeball and I would catch them all. You'd be my Pikachu. You're my Pika girl in the Poke world. Oh, I want the gym badge, but you want my heart. Pika girl in the Poke world, and now that I got you, we can never part. The Pokeball in my life's open for you. You're my Pika girl in the Poke world, just like a Pokemon. Open for you. You're my Pika girl in the Poke world, just like a Pokemon. I bring you sweets like rare candies, level up your love to give, and then you choose right then a sweet kiss TM. Super effective. Not even the Elite Four can stop us evermore. Together we can fall. Our bond would never break and there'd be no mistake. Our love would conquer all. You're my Pika girl in the Poke world. Oh, I want the gym badge, but you want my heart. Pika girl in the Poke world, and now that I've got you, we can never part. The Pokeball in my life's open for you. You're my Pika girl in the Poke world, just like a Pokemon.
Browsing through his post from 2012 paints the image of someone with an immature sense of humor.
Okay, I'd just be any Pokemon trainer in the Pokemon universe, because then because I don't care who I be, because I'll just be a trainer, and
You just want to catch all the Pikachus.
It will be Pokemon, yes. Catch all the Pikachus, and I'll gather them all in my room, and I'll hug them forever, and never let them go, and I'll keep hugging them.
Aww.
No.
Okay.
A real penchant for flirting towards fans and his fellow narrators, and someone who can't seem to keep his dick in his pants with the amount of porn he has shared on his official page. He claimed that he rarely tells people that he loves them, but there are countless comments, social media posts, and videos of him telling so to his fans and fellow narrators.
Why won't you love me? I never said I didn't love you. In fact, I posted a status saying I loved everyone, including you. Especially you. Especially you who's listening to this now. I love you.
Alright, Creeps, come on.
Yeah, we're ending it.
We're ending it?
I don't know.
We're ending it. No, I want you to say something to your fans.
You want me to say something?
Love you is not sufficient.
Professing my love is not enough. Okay.
No, it is not.
Oh, sorry, I thought love meant something.
No, it's just a word.
Okay. To my fans, I want to make sweet, creepy love babies with you.
He also claimed that he was a prudish, reserved guy, but in reality, 2012 Creeps was regularly reaching out to fans and other narrators, was openly affectionate towards them, would constantly make dick and boob jokes, and would regularly post porn and waifus on his social media pages, and him trying to act like a cutesy little anime boy. He made frequent use of the type of language he claimed he never did, such as nas, asterisks, and so on. Really seems like Creeps wasn't as humble and reserved as he made himself out to be, and that isn't all, because 2012 Creeps also had no filter around young fans and narrators. But don't take my word for it, because Creeps himself stated as such in a Q&A on his Creeps Plays channel, one which also features Creeps' Facebook admin at the time, Nameless Monster.
Hooray, please don't get mad. How old are Creeps and Nameless Monster? Should we answer that?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with knowing the age. I don't know, I'm 21 anyway.
I'm 16.
16? Aww, you little baby, I didn't know how old you were.
Shut up!
Oh, I just want to pinch your cheeks and be like, oh my gosh, you're so cute.
How old did you think I was?
I don't know. For some reason I had 17 in my head. I wasn't that far off anyway, but...
I told you I was illegal, like, because you kept making, like, sexual innuendos, and I'm like, dude,
Okay, no, that's not directed... Okay, I do that to everyone, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, but I am legal in his country, so apparently...
Okay, changing subject, because this is
it's like invitation enough for you, isn't it?
Because... No, okay. Changing subject. No, I'm just flirty with everyone.
Okay, so Creeps is 21 and I'm 16. Not that any of you really care, but...
Now that is something any 21-year-old shouldn't be caught dead saying, let alone around a 16-year-old girl. But that also begs the question of why Creeps even let this young girl into his circle in the first place. Really doesn't seem like Creeps was the prudish little wallflower he made himself out as. And what's more, is that this type of language is found in his posts well after 2012, with some even spanning as recently as 2016. There was no reason for Creeps to act shocked at the language used in the messages, because he was using it for years. In fact, it's hilarious that Creeps and his fans would even claim that it couldn't be him because the person in the messages types like a teenage girl, when Creeps in 2012 posted like a stereotypical Tumblr girl. This wouldn't be as much of a concern if he had claimed that a Catfish was copying the way he wrote, but he flat out denied it, regardless of all the evidence proving otherwise. In his response, Creeps also reasoned that he couldn't be the person in Kumori's messages, because the CreepsMcPasta in her messages mentioned going to work, and according to him, he wasn't working at the time. To really make his case, Creeps also claimed that most of the jobs he had held were ones where he didn't require to leave home, with the only job he held that wasn't work at home being at Blockbusters, but that this happened during his college years and was before he even began his channel.
So there is one message that really stands out to me. The start of my message is this: I was at work. Now let me tell you something about myself. I've only ever had one job where I left the house. Every other job I've had, I've worked at home. I've only ever had one job where I left the house, and that was Blockbusters. And it's become such a... We all know what happened to Blockbusters, okay? And the fact that I said I was out for work is really one of the biggest tells for me, because I was at work when I was in college, but I was in college, like, I started doing YouTube after college. So, where did that come from? And that's where one of the suspicious things comes out to me, because
Unfortunately for Creeps, his online footprint shows a completely different story. Not only does he have multiple posts from 2012 of him mentioning being at work, but he also explicitly mentions working at Blockbusters in one of them. But if that weren't enough, Creeps also talks about working at Blockbusters in that Q&A on his Creeps Plays channel.
So, I can't wait.
Okay. Renee White asks again, what is your favorite genre of movie?
A movie? Ooh. I love family movies. Disney. I love Disney movies and like sort of
Disney movies! Are we gonna
Yes.
have a Disney marathon when you come down here?
Oh no, I'm already like, Disney movies. No, alright, okay, at work. It's okay, basically I work at Blockbusters. I don't mind saying that. And behind me is a Blu-ray player, and you're supposed to put Blu-rays in to show off the quality. And I keep putting the DVD copy of Aladdin in for us.
And to really drive the point home, here he is talking about his part-time at Blockbusters in his Draw My Life video from 2015, where he even talks about balancing between making videos and working at Blockbusters at the start of his channel.
Eventually, through more hard work, I finished college with the highest grade possible. I did this whilst getting and maintaining a part-time job and keeping consistent content on YouTube. This was the most satisfying thing I ever did in my life. Some days even ran over 12 hours, yet I still managed to do the whole video making process all by myself. Since college was finished, I found myself with more spare time.
At first, people might brush off Creeps lying about Kumori and the way he typed as white lies, saying that, oh, he was just embarrassed about the way he typed, or oh, it's been so long and his memory just isn't that great. But he sure seemed to remember working at Blockbusters back in 2016. There was no reason for him to lie to his audience about this, and shows that he's been going out of his way to lie about similarities between himself and the person talking to Kumori in those messages. This next lie relates to Creeps debunking one of Kumori's anecdotes. This is unsurprising, considering many of her anecdotes counters Creeps' claims about his ties with her. The funny thing is that for how his response, Creeps claims to be on Kumori's side, believing her to be telling the truth, but that the Creeps that talked to her was a catfish, while also spending a good chunk of the video debunking stories told about their interactions, or in other words, saying that she's lying.
Because we do have a real victim. That's the sad part about that. You do have a real victim, but then the person impersonating doesn't get caught because, of course, like anyone can assume an identity, but the person who was framed is also, like, in some ways a victim in a different way. And
for example, he tried to debunk her claims that he had sent her money through PayPal by showing his transactions from his PayPal and saying that the farthest back it goes is 2017.
Oh, apparently I sent money on PayPal. And I tried looking. Again, this is another thing where they've set the date so far back that it's very hard to backtrack to, because on PayPal I tried going as far back as possible, so I was spam clicking all the months, and the furthest I could go was August 2017, which is 3 years ago. So again, it comes down to word of mouth, because they never showed any screenshots of me sending payment. They've only said it, but all I can say is, like, I didn't send people payments, like, back in the day as well, like.
This allegation is particularly worth noting because it shows that Kumori, if being honest, knew what Creeps' face looked like. However, Creeps' quote-unquote debunking only shows that he has a PayPal account that is from 2017. For all we know, he could have other PayPal accounts that date back farther.
We started like video chatting too, and I remember he used to wear like a Pikachu onesie all the time, and eventually I wanted a Pikachu onesie too, and he actually sent me money, which I only remember that he sent me money for that because I was looking through my emails and I saw the PayPal like messages and like the money sent, and then like a couple days or a few days later I bought the onesie.
It's gonna have to be now Pikachu, just because it's associated with me so much, just from everything I do Pikachu related. And to no one that knows, the main thing I got is a Pikachu onesie, and that just stuck with me ever since I got it. Because every time like people see it, I've got pictures of me in it and stuff. I don't know. Show us your face. That was not a question. I'm evil. No. What do you look like? I watch. Oh, something in my throat. What do you look like? I watch your videos and love your voice, but I want to see the man behind the microphone. Post a pic. Okay, I'll post a picture of me in the video. In fact, right now, at this point in the video, there will probably, if I remember, be a picture of me. Enjoy.
And the reason it's a Pikachu mask is... Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't even answer the question. The reason it was a Pikachu mask was because I had a Pikachu onesie, and I just kept playing around with that, like taking pictures of myself, just doing funny video calls of people in a Pikachu onesie.
Another anecdote he tried to counter was Kumori's claim of inspiring him to make a gaming channel. Creeps' way of debunking this was by claiming that he started his gaming channel in 2011, before he even met Kumori.
Another weird one. Apparently she claimed credit for me uploading gameplay on the second channel. Now this is something you can actually check. If you go on Social Blade, you can see my channel was made March 6th, 2012. The gameplay channel, get this, was made March either 5th or 7th. I know it was like a day off. 2011. This is I think I've told this on stream before, but this is a fun confession. CreepsMcPasta wasn't my first avenue into YouTube. The second channel was technically my first channel, and it was, get this, a Call of Duty montage channel. All the videos are gone now. They're all unlisted. I mean, I can easily post one again, or like at least show a screenshot of that existed in a time period, but you know, the fact that they claim credit for the gameplay channel or something.
However, this is not giving the full picture, which can be put together using public posts by Creeps from 2012 and his own response. In spite of Creeps starting the channel in 2011, he didn't start using it in association with his Creeps persona until 2012. Creeps himself admits that his second channel started as a Call of Duty montage channel, There's Two of Us. Said channel was eventually abandoned and remained inactive until its rebranding into Creeps Plays. Although Creeps asked his fans if they wanted him to make a gaming channel on June 13, 2012, before he rebranded the There's Two of Us channel on June 18, 2012. Based on Facebook replies from June 17, 2012, where Creeps responded to a deleted account saying he was thinking about making a gaming channel, and comments on his channel prior to the rebranding, his second channel wasn't associated with CreepsMcPasta until June 2012. What's even more interesting is that the day after this interaction on Facebook, June 18, Creeps posted his first video on the channel, now under its rebranded name of Creeps Plays, and made a post treating the channel as a new venture, him finally caving into fan demand. Although there was definitely a demand for Creeps to create his gaming channel by his fans, it kinda seems like this Facebook interaction was the catalyst for him to make a gaming channel, which is really interesting bearing in mind that Kumori claimed to have made the recommendation to Creeps.
Grammar's important, and different seed this time, so let's just use my username. Apparently people have been struggling to read this when there's no capital letters. Some people say the rest woof us. I don't know what that means, but no, it's There's Two of Us. Kind of doesn't make sense to anyone except me, but I don't care.
But even if we can't truly confirm whether or not it was her Creeps was responding to, it was still dishonest of him to act like he had a gaming channel under the Creeps name in 2011. Another of Kumori's anecdotes that Creeps tried to debunk was Kumori claiming that Creeps built pixel art murals of her in Minecraft and therefore knew how old she was.
One of the first flirting instances was, I don't know what initiated, because I suppose he probably knew that I liked him a lot, you know. And so on Minecraft he had made a huge pixel art or block art thing of my face. Back then, you know, I had blue hair, half blue and half black hair, and yeah, so he spent hours making that on Minecraft, and I don't know, that was pretty big to me back then. That meant a lot.
Okay, and did he know that you were 13?
Yeah, we would joke about how we were the reverse age, you know, because he was 21 and I was 12.
Okay,
but
12.
But now I just realized that's anyway.
Creeps did so by claiming that he only played Minecraft with a select group consisting of other popular narrators and their friends, and also claimed that it would be impossible for him to have made the murals of Kumori because Minecraft didn't have creative mode in 2012.
Oh yeah, apparently, yeah, so here's another one. Apparently I played Minecraft with them, and I made a mural of them. I spent hours on it apparently, but like I mentioned before, I never got my name on Minecraft, so who knows who that was. The earliest email I can find, the earliest Mojang email I can find on the email I used for my first ever, my only Minecraft account is from 2014, which I think is a bit late. I do feel like I had the account before, but the only server I can ever remember playing on that far back was with some narrators, but it was a closed one. I feel like I knew everyone there because it had my now ex, a few narrators which are still around today, which, you know, are not involved in any of this, and then a few of their personal friends, and that was it. And there was no creative mode in it. I think there was no creative mode because I had to make my damn mansion myself. It was bloody hard. I had to make a nice, beautiful mansion, which my friend blew up. I was sad about that, but there was no way to make any kind of hours-long mural without creative mode. And, you know, the fact that I can't remember them and I remember who was on the server, I don't think that was the place. So that's a bit beyond me.
The hilarious thing about that is that it can be disproved with a simple Google search and a quick read. All it takes is a few seconds to find out that creative mode for Minecraft Java Edition was first publicly available in 2011. Creeps even had a creative mode save file back in 2012, as shown in his earliest Minecraft videos on his gaming channel.
People seem to like the idea, so thought I'd go for it. Apparently people have been struggling to read this when there's no capital letters. Some people say the rest woof us. I don't know what that means, but no, so there's two of us. Kind of doesn't make sense to anyone except me, but I don't care. But let's see, so it's hardcore creative. So yes, this time just doing it in survival. A little less pressure then.
I absolutely love this lie, just because of how easy it is to disprove. But what about that super secret Minecraft server that Creeps was in? Well, I can't prove for certain that this was the server he was referring to, but I'd like to introduce you to MCP's Minecraft Extravaganza. Now, Mr. CreepsMcPasta is another popular narrator who became really close friends with Creeps over the years. MCP is also the big narrator that Creeps doesn't refer to by name, which is odd because it's so obvious that he's talking about him and the circle of narrators associated with him. And what did it take to get into this elusive server? All you had to do was ask to be whitelisted. In fact, Creeps' post asking to be allowed into the server is still there on the community page. At this point, you might be starting to realize that Creeps is willing to lie about everything under the sun, from his ties to Kumori and personal details about himself to random minute details. However, it's Creeps' big conclusion about the situation that shows just how far he's really willing to lie to his audience. Creeps' ultimate conclusion regarding the situation was that Kumori was telling the truth, that the messages were real, and that Kumori really was groomed. However, the CreepsMcPasta she was talking to was a catfish.
I don't know. Like, again, and then like on Skype you could rename yourself. So then when people were trying to add me, I'd be like, oh, search CreepsMcPasta, and they'd be like, oh, it's like 20 results. I'm like, okay, I'll add you. Because guess what? You did that with any YouTuber. You search for their name, there's always 20 results. So anyone who randomly added them could have been talking to a fake one pretending to be me, or a roleplay account. I don't know what they were, but that's something important I feel to put out there. Oh yeah, there was messages from Chitango. Did I mention that bit? There was like messages from me from Chitango. I don't know what that is. I don't know what Chitango is. I think I only ever used Skype back in the day. Hey, so while going through the editing, I realized that in the screenshot of the Chitango profile, it says my age according to, I think it was set in, the screenshot was taken in August. The age set was 28. I'm not 28, which means that the birth date was wrong, whether they just knew the birth date but not the year, or whether they just made it up just approximately on how old I said I was in, old Skype groups or to other people back in the day. I don't know, because if it was made more recently, they could have used famousbirthdays.com because it's all on there now. But back then, back when information was a bit more limited, I can only imagine that whoever signed up just guessed. I obviously know my birthday. There's no reason I would get it wrong on a website, so this adds to the fact that this is not me. This is an app I've never used. The date is all wrong. I don't know what other information is on there. I don't know how Chitango profiles work, if there's even more I can dig out, but I can almost confirm that it's someone else at this point.
Now, throughout his response, Creeps has been consistently dishonest and manipulative. But I want to be really thorough with this allegation because it shows the absolute depths to which Creeps is willing to lie about this situation. A willingness to not only lie about his connections to Kumori, but his connections to everyone who appeared in the street. As established earlier, Creeps was undoubtedly in contact with Kumori. Even if their Skype or video calls aren't archived, we can still confirm that they were talking to each other on some level. They worked on a multi-part series together, with Creeps citing Kumori as the one behind the idea, and that it was intended as a joint project between them. There is no way that Kumori could have explained the project to him and specifically requested him to use audio of her unless they were in contact. Creeps was also aware that she would no longer be able to make narration videos. According to Kumori, the reason she was no longer able to do so was that her dad had found out about her and Creeps' relationship, took her computer from her, and deleted all of her social media accounts. Creeps being aware of her leaving the internet means that he was keeping up with her enough to know what was going on in her personal life. How could Kumori have been catfished by a fake Creeps when she was already talking to the real one? Especially since the messages Kumori provided have them discussing the videos that they worked on together. Wouldn't she have noticed that the Creeps trying to talk to her was using a different account? Or moreover, wouldn't have Creeps been confused if Kumori brought up their romantic relationship or his alternate account?
Yes, you made it. Nice costume, by the way. So, You ready to go trick-or-treating? Good.
Kept me close. We were the best of friends. Then you broke me, killed me, and then discarded me. I will never die. I am too close to your heart.
Unless this Catfish was some super hacker who knew the inner workings of Creeps' life and his interactions with Kumori, there is no way that someone could have catfished her. Moreover, how could Creeps claim to believe that Kumori is telling the truth but was catfished if he's also claiming that she is lying in her anecdotes? Anecdotes where Kumori claimed to have video called with Creeps and knew what he looked like.
Real quick. Because we do have a real victim. That's the sad part about that. You do have a real victim. But then the person impersonating doesn't get caught because, of course, like anyone can assume an identity. But the person who was framed is also, like, in some ways a victim in a different way.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
Apparently, she claimed credit for me uploading gameplay on the second channel. Now, this is something you can actually check. If you go on Social Blade, you can see my channel was made, or something is also a red flag to me, because that actually predated it, and that was something I wanted to keep. Apparently, I played Minecraft with them, and I made like a mural of them. I spent like hours on it, apparently, but the only server I can ever remember playing on that far back was... It was with some narrators, but it was a closed one. Like, I feel like I knew everyone there because it had...
By using Creeps' own logic that the messages are real and that Kumori is being truthful, it is beyond doubtful that she could have been catfished by a fake Creeps, especially considering the messages have discussions about the videos they worked on and Kumori's claims of having seen his face. His story doesn't make any sense, even by his own logic. Creeps is doing some two-faced shit by saying he believes the victim, only to completely 180 and say she's lying. Really comes off as him trying to be the good guy in this situation, while also discrediting Kumori at the same time. But the really sad part is that it worked, as Creeps received tons of praise for believing the victim, while his fans also dislike bomb Kumori's interview and talk shit in the comments. Real stand-up guy that Creeps is. Another major wrench in the Catfish story is that Creeps never brings up that the account in Kumori's messages is using his real name.
But, like I mentioned before, I never got my name on Minecraft, so who knows who that was. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's another thing I wrote down. Back in the day, and still now in some ways, because I found some channels doing this, some people still pretend to be me. So you have to imagine, like, my Twitter name is CreepsMcPasta, because someone got CreepsMcPasta and they pretended to be me. Look at the tweets. They were pretending to be me, trying to be all dark and edgy. That wasn't me.
This becomes more evident in the screen recordings Kumori provided to Slime Beast. And this wasn't some mistake on Creeps' part, because he blocked out his name from Kumori's messages in his response. He misled his audience by telling them that Kumori was talking to someone using the CreepsMcPasta name when she was talking to someone using his real name. This information wasn't readily available back in 2012, so how likely would it have been for a catfish to impersonate as Jacob Calvert? To really show how implausible his catfish story is, it's worth looking at the size of Creeps' channel in 2012 and how long he had actually been uploading by then. Now, if you were a catfish in 2012 trying to pretend to be a popular YouTuber, you would probably pick a YouTuber with a massive audience. Someone like PewDiePie, Markiplier, maybe even Ian and Anthony from Smosh. And while it would make sense to try to catfish as Creeps in 2021, when he has over 2 million subscribers, it would make absolutely no sense to do so in 2012. Based on posts from Creeps' Facebook talking about his subscriber milestones, he only had 1,000 subscribers by June 2012, and around 15,000 by December. In fact, Creeps only started uploading on March 6, 2012, so he was not a well-established channel back then. How likely would it be that someone would catfish as a YouTuber with only 1,000 to 15,000 subscribers? However, what is perhaps the most dishonest on Creeps' part is his description of the narrator Skype group he was in, his ties with the smaller narrators within it, and his portrayal of them as toxic. According to Creeps, most of the narrators he collabed with at the time were a part of a Skype group where people would send each other requests for voice lines, and that interactions with a majority of these people, including Kumori, were minor and boiled down to getting someone to provide voice work.
There was always one big narrator, and then he had his group of friends, and then other groups formed. And the only way I can liken it is just comparing it to high school, where if there's the popular kids, there's the people that go, we hate them. I don't know why, like, I don't know if that still happens now, but looking back, like, that's so toxic, that's so bad. And so many groups formed of like little groups of friends, but there's always one big narrator chat. This is how we used to collaborate. You'd go in the group chat and be like, hey, I need a girl's voice. And then some girls would be like, I can do it now, I can do it now. Okay, if you could do it now, here you go, here's the lines. Most people I collaborated with back then, their channel is either gone, or I have no idea who they are, or like both. You know, like, this person, oh god, my knees. This person was apparently in an old video, Pokemon Jessica, which, you know, for a start, like, fair enough, that one's sole featuring that person, but that's also one I have no memory of organizing. It was, and the biggest tell is this Halloween special, where there's a long list of names, and there's like some people I know. I remember Mr. CreepsMcPasta, I remember Scarecrow, there's Junior in there. Some of the others, I have no idea who they are. And the, like, who's a Subat 28? And I daren't look for the channel, it's probably gone. Or if it is, it's going to be a relic. But, you know, who are these people?
He also describes this group as an environment that was separated into several cliques, with him and his close circle being the popular clique, and the other cliques consisting of smaller narrators. Moreover, the smaller cliques were also described as being toxic, willing to talk behind each other's backs, and all having it out for the larger narrators. This culminates in Creeps laying out a grand conspiracy that the smaller narrators may have been the ones conspiring against him.
So let's talk about Skype real quick, because I mentioned before there were little cliques around the place. And I used to think I was okay. I was cool with a lot of people. I thought there was a few people I talked to, and I'd be very nice to them. And then I met someone else from the community years later, and, you know, like I mentioned, like, I like to reminisce about it. I was like, oh, do you remember this person? And he was like, yeah, they hated you. I'm like, what? Really? And I found out a lot of people who I thought I was close to used to, you know, talk to me on face value in like the little groups I was in, and then go to the other people and then would just absolutely hate my guts. And I, you know, his first experience when he was found by another narrator was like, there's this Skype group of other people like you. Do you want to come in? Yeah. So we joined in. The first thing they did The first thing I did was, do you want to see MCP Junior's and Creeps' real face? What? And I think he said no, but they sent it anyway in like our real names. Like, we were doxxed so badly, so early. And this is stuff like, so that also would explain why it's easy to replicate that side of things too. Because people were finding my personal Facebook and personal pages, and it's not hard to recreate. It's not hard to make that again and just go, yeah, this is so-and-so. And it's even more damning because it looks more personal. Like, yeah, you can fake being CreepsMcPasta, but can you fake being the real him? And the answer is, goddamn, yes. Yes, he can.
Now, with what's already been established, namely that Creeps had only just started his channel in 2012 and was only at 13,000 subscribers near the end of the year, Creeps' story already seems pretty implausible. But what makes Creeps' story all the more stunning is that public posts by him and his longtime associates, Mr. Creepypasta, Creepypasta Jr., Well Hey Productions, etc., show that all the narrators in the street were either friends with Creeps or were friends of his friends. Take Vox Pernox, for example, who in addition to having collaborated with Creeps and his cohorts, still had a good working relationship with MCP by 2014, or Paranormal Mango, who in addition to collabs and having frequent social media interactions between Creeps, his cohorts, and the narrators in the street, such as I'm the Evil Black Bunny and 3 others I'll elaborate on more, also appeared on live streams, Skype chats, and even had real-life meetings with Creeps.
What is with this really crappy board? Jeez.
Oh, look who's cussing at the board now.
I didn't even swear!
You're just shouting at the board. All of a sudden a swear word now.
Fuck, that was an accident.
She was even referred to as a, quote, narrator I'm sure you've all heard of, along with Creeps in Mr. Creepypasta's Draw My Wedding video from late 2016, meaning that she was someone they came to know over the years.
Now this is where these two come into play, CreepsMcPasta and Mango Mayhem. There are other narrators that I'm sure all of you have heard of. They were also friends with Fragmented Angel, and I didn't know it when joining one call, but guess who had been added to the group?
And speaking of I'm the Evil Black Bunny, who in addition to having frequent social media interactions with Paranormal Mango, Mr. Creepypasta, and others within their clique, also has posts about her Skype discussions with Creeps. And a possible real-life meetup with Mr. Creepypasta and Creepy Rainbow Pasta, his current wife. But to add even more, she also made an appearance in a 2-hour Q&A on Mr. Creepypasta's second channel, one that even features Creeps himself.
Murphy from Well Hey Productions.
Hey, how's it going?
I have the Evil Black Bunny.
Why was I born? Hello.
And I have CreepsMcPasta because I hope he's gonna hop in at some point.
Not really out of place here.
Okay, well, next question is, who are your favorite authors? Anybody's got those?
Ooh, That's a good question.
Dr. Seuss.
That's everyone's favorite.
And to really drive my point home, Creeps is still following her on his Facebook page. But what about Izubek28, the user that Creeps singled out as a nobody?
Who's a Subat28?
Well, Izubek, along with the Creepy Realms, who I'm lumping together with her because they were dating at the time and did narrations together under the personas, the pair of crazies. The Creepy Realms in particular had more than just collaborations with Creeps. Besides Creeps posting several comments on Realms' videos, Realms also thanked Creeps for sharing his editing skills with him in the description of one of his videos. The quote-unquote Catfish that was talking to Kumori even mentions helping Realms get more subscribers. But what's more is that the Creepy Realms was also friends with Creeps' longtime friend, Hey Productions, who even made a post talking about their initial meeting on a website called CPRU, while stating that a recent collab they did was initiated by Realms. Now, what is CPRU? After some digging, I found out that CPRU stood for Creepypasta Readers Unlimited, and that it was a forum for creepypasta narrators. Unfortunately, the site is now defunct, but does have some archives on Wayback Machine. And while there are many different forumites here, most of these names just so happen to have been associated with Creeps, his longtime friends, and the narrators in The Street. But who could have been the one in charge of this project to bring the creepypasta narrator community together? Well, how about the head honcho of the community himself, Mr. Creepypasta?
For there was always one big narrator, and then he had his group of friends.
Who was not only adamant on the site, but who also talked about its creation in the description of some of his videos. And is that Junior and Hey Productions as mods? It really seems like Creeps' circle of narrators weren't as isolated from other narrators as he may have let on. But who is this other mod, Morbid Butterfly Productions? If you guessed that she was someone who was also within Creeps' circle, then you'd be correct. However, it doesn't stop there, because Creeps' click story really starts falling apart when looking at the timeline of when he first met his now longtime friends, Mr. Creepypasta and Creepypasta Jr., as well as when this forum first launched. Mr. Creepypasta started his channel on January 4th, 2011. Throughout 2011, Mr. Creepypasta was befriending other narrators, including people like Miss Shadowlovely, before he even met Creeps, Creepypasta Jr., and Hey Productions. Creeps started his channel on March 6, 2012, and had a minor collaboration with Mr. Creepypasta on March 18, 2012.
I made 2 videos, all the while another YouTuber called Mr. Creepypasta started his Spring Break Spooktacular, something which has been a reoccurring thing on his channel. During this time, he featured a guest appearance from The Creepy Dark, so I thought, hey, maybe it's a normal thing to be put on his channel. So I messaged him, recorded a story and sent it in. And lo and behold, he put guest performance in the title, so I felt super awkward about that, like I self-imposed myself on his channel.
After that, his social media interactions with MCP are minimal, save for a community post about having the same birthday as MCP and asking him to let him in his Minecraft server. On June 1st, 2012, Creepypasta Jr. started his channel. A few weeks later, on June 25th, Mr. Creepypasta launches Creepypasta Readers Unlimited. Junior joins the forum on this day. Besides a comment by Junior mentioning the forum on a video Mr. Creepypasta posted on that day, this date is also shown on his CPRU profile. Creeps also joins this forum around the same time, with the latest reply to his earliest post on the forum being from June 27, 2012. In the meantime, Creeps gets to know people like the Creepy Realms and starts commenting on his videos in mid-July. During this time, Kumori is also sent money by Creeps for the first time on July 16, 2012. However, there are no collabs between Creeps, Jr. or MCP during this time. The best estimate for when Creeps started really getting MCP's attention is on July 27, 2012, when his Slender Week videos are put on the featured page of the website. Then, August 2nd comes around, where Creeps mentions sending in his lines for MCP's newest video, and that video is Mr. Creepypasta's Jeff vs. Jane video, the first major collaboration between him and the members of CPRU. Then, in September, Creeps' interactions with Junior and Mr. Creepypasta really start to pick up, and based on this comment by Junior, he and Creeps didn't become aware of each other until 2 months after his channel was created. With him starting his channel in June, that would mean that they became aware of each other in August, and the most likely reason for this was that they started chatting with each other on CPRU. Creeps didn't really start to know the people that would become the popular clique like MCP and Junior until early August, and arguably only really started becoming friends with them in September, which is the month where they really started doing projects with one another, such as Creeps and Junior's joint YouTube channel and the Creepy Threesome series on MCP's second channel. All the while, the earliest that Kumori was messaging an account using Creeps' real name and likeness was on August 1st, and the earliest interaction with Creeps that Kumori provided evidence for was on July 16, 2012, about half a month since Creeps started talking to these people on CPRU. In fact, thanks to a post by Wellhey Productions, we can confirm that this quote-unquote toxic narrator Skype was created for CPRU. In this post, Wellhey mentions meeting Mr. Creepypasta in 2012 on a Skype call for narrators on a forum site that, and I quote, Creepypasta narrators offers and artists used to call home. The Creeps talking to Kumori being a catfish at this time is basically impossible. However, it's Creeps' behavior with these next three narrators that really show the lack of walls between Creeps' circle and other narrators at the time, and the lengths these people took their online relationships. Take Zombie Doll, whose name consistently popped up in Creeps' postings from late 2012 and 2013. Based on Creeps' posts from the time, she seems like someone he became really close with. Besides there being a ton of interactions between the two on their Facebook and Tumblr pages, some with very flirtatious language, both were admins for each other's Facebook pages at the time, and had even met each other in real life.
Right, so me and Tom and Creeps met up, and we went into London, and we had an amazing time. We got henna tattoos and everything, and it was amazing, and oh my god. So we decided, to take a quick detour to, I say quick, quick detour to Covent Garden. And in Covent Garden there's like this soap shop or something.
Yeah.
And it's called Lush, and it's like the best thing ever. I don't know whether they have them in America or whatnot, but honestly, it smells so good in there.
Oh.
And we went downstairs to this like underground basement thing. And there was like all this soap there, so we were like sniffing away, getting high off the fumes of this amazing smelling And then suddenly we found ourselves like smothering Creeps' lips in like homemade lipstick. So we had like bright purple lips, and it was the best thing ever. And then, and then my friend Liam decided to get rainbow coloured lip gloss put on his face.
Actually, that was my idea. I kind of forced
yeah. And then we all just suddenly decided, to just smother our face in lip like lipstick, so we all ended up with like, I was like Pichu, and then like Tom was like Pikachu, and we were just like, oh yeah, that's so kawaii.
She also had frequent interactions with other narrators within Creeps' circle, including Mr. CreepyPasta, and Miss Shadow Lovely. Just take a look at all of these back and forths between MCP and her on Tumblr, all super gushy with some veering towards sexual like this one here. MCP reacting to her contribution on the Creepypasta Narrator Christmas album. An album that is filled with Creeps' longtime cohorts, the quote-unquote nobodies from the street, and narrators from the time associated with both. Really seems like these people were a part of the same friend group at the time, especially with them making a project like this for fun, but that's beside the point. Now our boy MCP seems really worked up by the song. He is just hot and bothered by this girl's Santa baby cover. So be prepared to get a chub going.
Santa baby, slip a sable under the tree for me. Been an awful good girl, Santa baby, and hurry down the chimney tonight.
But Zombie Doll's ties to Creeps don't just end there, because she also drew art for Creeps and his buddies while they also returned the favor. Just look at this lovely piece by MCP of her as a big titty anime girl, or this one of her and Creeps caramel dancing. How about this piece by Zombie Doll herself, referencing a quite hilarious incident where MCP got her a corset and thong for Christmas.
I'm gonna give you bacon.
Tonight.
That's what's gonna be your gift for Christmas. So I'm gonna send you packaged bacon.
No, you sent me a thong.
Quite the sense of humor on that guy. But it doesn't just stop there, because Zombie Doll was also a part of the big bad narrator Skype chat, as Creeps and his friends mentioned Skype conversations with this girl all throughout 2012. She even has a Q&A recorded from Skype on her channel that featured Creeps, Mr. CreepyPasta, MCP's admin Reaper, and look who also showed up, TheDarkmander, on schedule. Besides having frequent appearances in Creeps' and his friends' videos, was also quite good friends with Zombie Doll at the time. TheDarkmander and Zombie Doll, both being from the UK, even met each other in real life, as stated in her Facebook post and in this Q&A. However, there was another person whom they hung out with during their meeting, CreepsMcPasta.
Alright, so me and Tom and Creeps met up.
In fact, TheDarkmander also met up with Creeps in July 2013 at the same narrator meetup that Paranormal Mango was at.
Take a deep breath. And close your eyes.
Really seems like Creeps was making some more meaningful relationships in the narrator Skype chat than he might have let on, but it doesn't stop there, because TheDarkmander also has a Q&A on her channel, and besides having Paranormal Mango from The Street, it also featured both Zombie Doll and Mr. CreepyPasta. The last narrator to appear in The Street is Scarecrow1719. Scarecrow1719 has such blatant ties to Creeps that even he was wise enough to not try and distance himself from her.
There's like some people I know. I remember Mr. Creepypasta. I remember Scarecrow.
Now this is a narrator I do recognize from back in the day, since she had a long history of collaborations with Creeps and his gang. She even appeared on his Creeps Plays channel in 2012.
Record.
Okay.
One of us has to say hello. Whose channel is this going on for a start?
I don't know.
Oh, that's quite loud. we can decide later.
Keep it loud. I couldn't hear it properly last time.
However, her interactions with Creeps don't end there. Besides frequent mentions by Creeps, Zombie Doll, TheDarkmander, and others in the narrator circle, There's also this lovely piece shipping her and Creeps. At first you might be thinking, wait a minute, why are you just talking about some random piece of fan art? All that will show is that fans of these narrators associated them with each other, not that they were actually friends. What does this have to do with anything? Well, if you take a look at the maestro who created this, that name might sound a little familiar. That's right, it's our boy Mr. CreepsMcPasta himself. And there's Scarecrow in the comments just having quite the laugh. Now before you laugh yourself to exhaustion at this hilarious image, I just want to tell you that the laugh roller coaster is just getting started. Because we have a wonderful piece of prose to go through, featuring not just Scarecrow, but our other friends, Zombie Doll, TheDarkmander, as well as Creeps and the entire crew. A little story called, Can I Pikachu in the Shower? I first stumbled upon this little ditty during my research, and man is it a banger, starring our trio, consisting of Darkmander, Scarecrow 1719, and Zombie Doll. If only we could find the genius who penned this piece, but it doesn't seem like there's any leads with this username. But don't fret, because thanks to unlistedvideos.com, we can find who to shower with praise. In the description of this video uploaded on Creeps' second channel, we can see who the genius behind this masterwork is. TheDarkmander. But what, or who, could have inspired her to write a story of her having hardcore lesbian sex with two of her friends? She does mention writing the story at someone's request, but who could it be? Well, thanks to Darkmander's Q&A, we can solve this utter mystery.
9. And I'm guessing this is about the fan fiction, Can I Pikachu in the Shower, which I wrote. And he's asking, what is your dirty inspiration?
Oh. Dan. Okay. I'm sorry, I had to slip it in there. Okay. What is your dirty inspiration? My inspiration to write that story was a very, very strange Skype call with CreepsMcPasta, where we were discussing various shippings. Yes, giggity. And he basically said, ship me with me. But then we figured that wouldn't really work, so we went for the next best thing, which was Scarecrow. And then we figured, why not write whole fiction and then just like trick her into narrating it? I'm sorry, Scarecrow, but it was so funny. It was
so funny.
For the record, it was all Creeps' idea though.
Yeah, yeah, totally his idea, wasn't me. Okay.
Ah, that lovable Creeps, quite the prankster he is. But that's not all. Thanks to other Q&As, we can get a real behind-the-scenes look at this magnum opus.
What would you want it to be about? Fanfic.
I can make this happen.
You do that, Tom. You do that.
I will do that. I've done it with Scarecrow. I can do it with you.
Yeah, I can Pikachu in the shower too.
Oh.
Equal.
The squeakle.
You're just slowly gonna make yourself into like the scumbag of the group, making it possible.
Just shipping everyone.
Right. All of them. That.
And now we're back to Pikachu in the shower.
And meanwhile, on Creeps' second channel,
Erotica, featuring Scarecrow 1719.
and me, a 14-year-old girl.
Whoa, wait a minute. How old did the Darkmander say she was?
Me, a 14-year-old girl.
Oh, so Creeps was hanging out with a 14-year-old and coaxed her into writing a smutfic of her having sex with her narrator friend, one of whom she was meeting with in real life at the time? In fact, how old are Zombie Doll and Scarecrow? 16? The both of them? Jesus, dude. That's kind of weird for a 21-year-old man to be hanging out in person with 14 and 16-year-old girls, especially with his recent allegations and dodgy behavior. Actually, that's really fucking weird, allegations or not. At this point, we know that Creeps was being dishonest throughout his response. He made consistent efforts to distance himself from Kumori and was willing to lie about everything, from personal details to minor things such as Minecraft Creative Mode not being out in 2012, to his ties to literally every single narrator in the street. He also used manipulative tactics all throughout his video, saying he could never ever do anything bad in his life because his family said so, or other narrators say so, or because he's dated survivors of sexual abuse, doesn't actually debunk any of Kumori's claims. And the worst part is that it all worked, especially when looking at the comments sucking Creep's dick for supporting the victim, and then seeing the feedback to Pastel Belle's interview. All of this is combined with Creeps being friends with several young girls, one as young as 14. I've already gone over some of Creeps' interactions with Zombie Doll and TheDarkmander earlier, but I wanted to go more in depth with them because of how weird they are. Creeps and Zombie Doll were super flirty towards each other on their Facebook accounts and the Q&A on her channel. What may seem like playful back and forths between two friends becomes a lot more weird when actually considering that it's being directed to a 16-year-old girl, of course. Really seems like Creeps is trying to lay the sauce on this girl. But it doesn't stop there, because this type of flirting is also present in the Q&A on Zombie Doll's channel.
Do you and CreepsMcPasta date all the time? Yes. All the time, bed. Kiss.
What happened in London stayed in London. Wink.
I was there too.
Yeah, you made up that rule.
Will. Who cares about Liam and Russell? It was just your offer, Will.
They were.
Hey.
They were their charm.
That.
Now, if I didn't have any prior context, I probably wouldn't have taken Creeps' answer of what happens in London stays in London all that seriously, but it's the flirty messages combined with the fact that he actually met up with her is bizarre to say the least. We also know that Creeps met TheDarkmander on 2 occasions, with Zombie Doll being present on one of them. But what I also failed to mention is that Creeps also tried making plans to hang out with them at the MCM Expo in October of 2013, as evident by these comments on one of Zombie Doll's posts. While there's no post confirming that they did meet up, both Creeps and the 2 girls did end up going to MCM Expo. It's also worth going more in depth with the 2 Q&As on hers and Zombie Doll's channels, the unlisted Can I Pikachu in the Shower video on Creeps Plays, and the actual fanfiction itself. Now, I've already talked about these 2 Q&As earlier on, but I feel that it's important to go more in depth with them, not only because they have important information about the TheDarkmander's ties to Creeps, but because they exemplify Creeps and Mr. CreepyPasta's inappropriate behavior towards these girls. Now, what's interesting about these Q&As is that there are statements by Zombie Doll and the TheDarkmander that confirm that both MCP and Creeps were talking to these girls without other narrators around.
And who or what inspired you to start reading creepypastas? Okay, it was my best friend, okay? This has been answered, asked so many times. It was, Dash, also known as... What's his name again? I forgot.
The Creepy Dash, only one of the biggest narrators is mine.
The Creepy... I basically was there when he was getting more famous and stuff, and he was over. I know! Famous in quotes.
Then again, I am the same with Creeps.
Yeah.
I was there.
God damn it, Creeps, stop reblogging cat gifs on Tumblr.
And there it is. Creeps was Skyping with a 14-year-old girl before his channel even had any form of traction, eventually leading to him meeting her in real life. Suddenly, Creeps talking to 12-year-old Kumori doesn't seem all that implausible, but that goes without even mentioning all of the inappropriate interactions that Creeps and MCP had with these girls. However,
the next one is, if you were in a I can't even take this seriously because I know who asked it. If you were in a porno, What would be your scenario?
I remember that.
I wonder who asked that question. MCP.
I got something I gotta show you guys.
What is
That.
it?
Have you seen this?
Is it the dildo?
Oh, I love this.
Or is it Thor?
What? It says. What would be your adventure with the Doctor? Well.
Trip to the gynecologist.
Not against the Doctor.
Alright, okay, so remember, I've not seen
No.
Thor is the best, like, defense.
No.
No, we've decided. No, right. If you're having burglar problems, and like they come in your house and you got a baseball bat, they'll think, oh, they've just got a baseball bat. No, if you pull out a 24-inch, 12-pound horse dildo and smack them around the face with it, they're not coming back. Because how can they explain to the police just like, he slapped me with a 12-pound, 24-inch horse dildo? You can't. You can never live it down. He will retire as a burglar and become a good citizen.
You'll be like, well, what were you attacked with? It's hard to explain.
No, because imagine, because some burglars, imagine you've got burglar rings, and they're talking to the fellow burglars, and they're like, someone stopped me from burgling the house today. Oh, how did they do it? And they explained that it was a horse dildo with justice written on the side. You wouldn't live it down. Yeah, you have to write justice on it now, I've decided. And you have to shout like Batman, like, justice! Imagine the noise it'll make.
Number 6. From Speak the Devil, CreepsMcPasta.
Oh.
What do you think of that smexy CreepsMcPasta fella?
I don't know.
These aren't the only disturbed tidbits in the Q&As. Just take a listen to this segment, which I had to play in its entirety just because of how scummy it is on MCP's part.
Okay. Boop, 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 boop. Why did I just do that? I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
Shut up, MCP. Don't you dare bring that up.
So I have these awesome little recordings from my Christmas
MCP! No!
And Charm does the most
MCP.
adorable thing whenever she's recording or looking for her next line, where she just does exactly what she did just now.
Which was what did she do? She goes boop boop ba doo ba doo.
Hang on, I have them all saved. I'll send them to you.
No, don't. Oh, I don't like you.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh.
Never mind.
Also, why the hell do you have those saved?
Well, I have a little confession to make about Mr. Creepypasta here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, he likes little noises that girls make, just saying.
Oh. Oh.
Just saying, I'm just saying. I mean, you did kind of save, like, Olaf Humble's line for that fanfic you wrote.
Needless to say, what reason is there for a 25-year-old man to be listening back to a 14-year-old girl's voice and telling her that it's adorable? That combined with TheDarkmander saying that he sins to the voices of young girls, only for MCP to laugh in response, is the cherry on top. What were these two talking to this 14-year-old girl about on Skype? And these girls aren't the only young girls within Creeps' circle. There's people like IVX Chaplin, also known as Creepy Baby Pasta. Now this person has had a pretty long history with the narrator clique, dating all the way back to 2012. Before she even began doing narrations, she ran a Facebook page roleplaying as Jane the Killer. But that eventually changed when she started her Creepy Baby Pasta channel in November of 2012. She was also 14 years old around this time, as evidenced by posts on her Tumblr from 2013 showing her birthday and age. Literally 3 days after she began her channel, she gets added to Skype by none other than Creepypasta Jr. But that is only the beginning, because in 2013, she would eventually hang out with Creepypasta Jr. as well as Mr. Creepypasta and Miss Shadowlovely in real life. She would also have frequent social media interactions with them, as well as others within their group, many of course being sexually charged and inappropriate. Mr. Creepypasta even mentioned having her phone number in a Q&A from April 2013.
And he realized that at the aquarium they have this really creepy ass picture. I do not have my phone with me, so if you want to...
I can do it on mine. Hold on.
Okay. There's this really creepy ass like sign, and there's this guy there on it that just kind of has this funky ass smile saying that we should, like, be careful when walking around the aquarium because water could leak and you could slip, etc., etc. But he has the creepiest face, and it is perfect for freaking people out with. And Creepy Baby Pasta knows because I text this picture to her all the time. He's got like a total
I don't have her number.
But these aren't the only narrators she would have these odd interactions with, as she was also a member of a Skype group with Wellhay Productions and another narrator who was a close friend of his, Creepypasta Raven. What's important to note is his age at the time, 21, and his frequent amount of flirty messages to a girl who was 15 in 2013. Unlike Kumori, Darkmander, or the other young girls I mentioned, Ivy stayed in touch with these guys well into 2018. But I just want you to take a look at these posts of her hanging out with MCP, Wellhay, and Raven, as well as these funny pictures of her and MCP. It's really strange how these guys are acting towards a girl they knew when she was a minor. You'd think they'd view her as sort of a younger sister. It's already nasty that Creeps egged a young girl into writing erotica of herself and her young friends. It's disgusting that he did this to someone who'd go through with it to impress her older friends, and who wouldn't understand why it's weird for someone of Creeps' age to be doing this to her. But that's only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this fanfic. I already mentioned an unlisted video on Creeps' second channel focused on this story. Unfortunately, the video is not available for viewing, so I can't actually show it to you. But thanks to the video's description, we can get a basic gist of what it's about. Oh, so the same guy who got a 14-year-old to write smut of her 16-year-old friends also tricked one of said 16-year-olds into reading a sex scene of herself, recorded it, and uploaded it to his channel as a funny prank? Super funny prank for a 21-year-old to be pulling on a high schooler. Totally no weird undertones or ulterior motives here. Now Creeps, being the little weasel that he is, probably realized the type of pushback he could get for this and unlisted the video. Unfortunately for him, there still exists some footage of this video, all thanks to a video called CreepsMcPasta is a Dick. Creeps even commented on this video, while Mr. Creepypasta reblogged it on his Tumblr. And needless to say, Scarecrow is a really young looking girl, in spite of being 16, and just by her facial expressions, you can tell that she's uncomfortable. Mr. Creepypasta also made GIFs of the video too. But it doesn't just stop there, because Creeps and his boys thought this prank was so funny, they would not shut up about it.
Yep, and TheDarkmander wrote that one, and I voiced in that one. But for some reason it went up.
Yeah.
If Creeps could trick Scarecrow into doing a story like she did.
This should be telling about the lack of maturity amongst Creeps and his friends. No one stepped in to tell Creeps that it's weird to do this to a 16-year-old. No one interjected to say that he probably shouldn't be hanging out with younger girls in the first place. No one showed any concern about being inappropriate around people younger than them. They all saw this weird stunt and just laughed at this girl's discomfort. Creeps tried smoothing things out by saying that Scarecrow was perfectly okay with the prank, but of course she's gonna say that. Of course this young girl's going to say that to not be seen as a weenie by her older friends. At this point, you might be realizing just how much of a manipulative little jerk Creeps really is. The sheer lengths he's willing to go to lie to his audience, his willingness to throw a good chunk of his entire friend group under the bus, and so on, is just awful. But to wrap things up, I'm just gonna blatantly rip off Slimebeast's video by comparing the two sides, Kumori and Creeps. On one side, we have Kumori, who has next to no online footprint or any social media pages bragging about ruining Creeps' life, who claimed to have wanted to tell her story before fading back into obscurity, and did just that, who provided screenshots featuring a person talking just like Creeps in 2012, and who knew about the videos they worked on together, all while providing an accurate description of Creeps' circle and knowing details that only the most obsessive of Creeps' fans would know of. And then we have Creeps, who made a 45-minute response where he lied and misled his audience, who talked exactly like the person in Kumori's messages, and used all the methods of communication Kumori claimed he did back in 2012, such as YouTube PMs and Skype, who ignored people asking him for interviews while also telling the people covering the situation that he would wait to see what information they had before taking further action when they asked for his side of the story, who talked to 14 and 16-year-old girls on Skype, eventually leading to him meeting them in real life and taking them on a little soap shop date, and who was part of a group with a history of inappropriate behavior around fans. I just want you to ask yourselves, who do you think is lying in this situation? What benefit would Kumori get from coming forward against a YouTuber with a dying channel focusing on a long dead internet fad?